ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा दोर्भिर्युक्ता चतुर्भिस्फटिकमणिमयीम् अक्षमालां ददाना हस्तेनैकेन पद्मं सितमपि च शुकं पुस्तकं चापरेण भासा कुन्देन्दुशङ्कस्फटिकमणिनिभा भासमाना समाना सा मे वाग्देवदेयं निवसतु वदने सर्वदा सुप्रसन्ना पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानादं को नयाति परां गतिं गोष्पदीकृतवाराशिं वशकीकृतराक्षसं रामायणमहामाला रत्नं वन्दे नीलात्मजम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् वैदेही सहितं सुरद्रुमतले हैमे महामण्डपे मध्ये पुष्पकमासने मणिमये वीरासने सुस्थितम् अभ्येवाचयति प्रभञ्जनसुते तत्त्वं मुनिभ्यः परं व्याख्यान्तं भरतादिभिः परिवृतं रामं भजे श्यामलं नमोऽस्तु रामाय सलक्ष्मणाय देव्यै च तस्यै जनकात्मजायै नमोऽस्तु रुद्रेन्द्रयमानिलेभ्यो नमोऽस्तु चन्द्रार्कमरुद्गणेभ्यः जानकीकान्तस्मरणं जय जय राम राम आंजनेय महाराज की जय. Start. So in the last session, if you remember, importance of sacrifices has been told. So according to, we had also discussed why different sacrifices, what is the importance of doing a nitya anushtana, nitya karma and so on. And we have some references as you can see on the screen, the Yajnavalkya Smriti, the Manusmriti and so on. So this is what Vishwamitra is explaining to the boys, and as I had told you last time also, before we do something, if a proper explanation is given, then the person knows why he is doing so and so thing and he does it also rightly. So therefore Vishwamitra explains to both the boys, to both Rama and Lakshmana, saying that why do we do our nitya anushtana, why do we do a lot of sacrifices, what is the reason, what are its references and so on. And now finally Rama and Lakshmana, both the boys, develop a feeling in their mind that whatever they do has got some purpose behind it, and that is the reason they end up doing things nicely. So all this we had seen, Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, Jnana Kanda. I had given you proper examples also relating to the Gita. So those who have missed the previous session, please listen to the audio. So basically in Vedic living, or in the, you can say in the Vedic times, whatever, or even today also for that matter, whatever we do in life is always associated with some yajna or sacrifice. Be it a wedding, or be it Upanayana Samskara, or be it even the Shraddha Karma, without fire, that is without doing a yajna, nothing is possible. So therefore whatever has to be done is always associated with the yajna. So basically yajna or doing a sacrifice is considered to be a connection between human beings and God. That is, whatever offerings you put in the sacrifice, we have a belief that it reaches the gods. So this is our way of, you can say it is like a relation that takes place between human beings and gods. Further you have Sarga 30. Now finally after killing Tataka, other Rakshasas come in. That happens in Sarga 30, wherein Rama, he kills Rakshasas like Subahu, he drives Maricha away, and many other demons who come to destroy the sacrifice of Vishwamitra and all the other sages. Further we also saw that for the next 6 nights or so, Vishwamitra tells Rama and Lakshmana that you have to protect, and that's where both the boys they stay awake. And also the importance of sleep, that is importance of staying awake also we had discussed, how the first step of even during sannyasa svikara, when that is done, that also the first step would be to stay awake. Further, now all the Rakshasas, everything is killed. Now the story, that is from Sarga 31 onwards, Sita Swayamvara starts in. So again you can say an important chapter in the life of Rama. मैथिलस्य नरश्रेष्ठ जनकस्य भविष्यति यज्ञः परमधर्मिष्ठः तस्य यस्यामहे वयम्. So now Vishwamitra is telling the boys, and next we are heading towards Mithila. Next when we are going towards Mithila, so now there Janaka, a great person, is doing a sacrifice there, and we have to go there just to see that, just to see how the sacrifice is taking place. So let us go there. This is what he says, and further he takes both the boys along with him. Further, त्वं चैव नरशार्दूल साहस्माभिर्गमिष्यति गमिष्यसि अद्भुतं धनुरत्नं च तत्र तद्द्रष्टुमर्हसि. So now both the boys, now if you roughly look at the age of Rama, at that time he would be, now when he got married he was about 12, so you can consider about 11 or 12 years old. So there Vishwamitra, first thing, he does not tell him that there's some Swayamvara of Sita, you can get an opportunity to marry Sita. Nothing of that sort Vishwamitra does. Vishwamitra just tries to tell Lakshmana and Rama that there is a great bow that is being kept there, Dhanuratnam. So basically now both the boys, they were experts in Dhanur Vidya, that is in using the bow and arrow. So therefore, just to fascinate them, Vishwamitra tells that there is an excellent bow which is kept there. So we must all go and just to see that. Because at that age, people are interested in bow and such kind of things which are quite attractive. You can say something in which we are expert in, or just like young kids, you show them some games, toys or so, they will like that. Instead you go and tell, no, we are going to go and meet so and so person, or you're going to go for a marriage or so, people will not be interested, right? Or at least kids of that age will not be interested. So similarly here also, Vishwamitra conveys the message to Rama in such a way that will be of interest to him. That is the reason he says, Tvam chaiva narashardula sahasmabhirgamishyasi adbhutam dhanuratnam cha tatra tadrashtumarhasi. Adbhutam dhanuratnam. You can see an excellent bow there which you will like very much. Further, तद्धिपूर्वं नरश्रेष्ठ दत्तं सदसि दैवतैः अप्रमेयबलं घोरं मखे परमभास्वरम्. So he starts talking about the bow more, the description of the bow and so on, and he says that it was given to Janaka by Devatas in another sacrifice. So it was very, very auspicious and great. Nasya deva na gandharva na sura na charakshasah kartumaropanam shakta na katanchana manushaha. Vishwamitra further tells that till date nobody is able to string that bow, not devas, gandharvas, asuras, human beings. Nobody is able to tie the bow, string the bow, that is put the string on the bow. Till date nobody has done that. Further, story of Kushanabha and his daughters. Now this Kushanabha stories, if you see, they are all, it's not a main part of the Ramayana, they are all just side stories that come in. But still I will just tell you about the Kushanabha's story to some extent. It comes in Sarga 32. Now who was exactly Kushanabha, if you see? He belonged to the Chandra Vamsha. Mainly he did not belong to the Surya Vamsha as such. Now Rama belonged to the Surya Vamsha. Kushanabha was a king who belonged to Chandra Vamsha. That is basically Janaka's clan. If you see, Janaka also belonged to the Soma Vamsha. So that's the reason why here the Kushanabha story has been mentioned, because they belong to the same lineage. And he belongs to a dynasty which belonged to the Chandra Vamsha line. He is said to be the son of Kusha. Kushana, now not the Kusha of the Ramayana reference. And he was the one who had founded the city of Kanauj. Today you have the city of Kanauj that is there. So he was the one who had founded this Kanauj, and he had about 100 daughters. And once it so happened that, now there is a story behind it, not very interesting you can consider, but still just because it has been mentioned, one chapter has been dedicated in the Ramayana, we can just look at that. Now, though he had 100 children, he had only 100 daughters. So he did not have a male successor to the throne. And that's when he started worshipping Indra. Finally, Indra became his son. He was born as Gadhi. Gadhi, some people also call it as Gadhi, but Gadhi is the right name. So that is the only reference which has been given here. And finally, Vayu Bhagavan here, mainly if you come, Vayu Bhagavan, in between he comes there, he has 100 daughters to marry. And all the daughters, they disapprove, they say, no, we don't want to marry you. Vayu's behavior, looking at Vayu's character, they don't wish to do that. So The daughters also did not like it. So wherein Vayu gets very angry and he gives a curse to all the daughters, and that's where Kushanaba also he's very sad at this and ultimately attains heaven. So of course this story, if you see, it has got nothing to do much with the original Ramayana. These are all just side stories which somewhat it is related to Chandravamsha, so that's the reason it is included in the Ramayana. Just as we have the birth of Ganga, right, or the birth of Kartikeya, they are not directly related to the main story, but about some side stories that might be you have some reference with the main topic. So here now Vayu Bhagavan, he talks ill about Kushanaba, saying that I am ready to marry your daughters, but still it's not happening. So little he talks evil, and at that time the daughters, what they say is, Ma bhutsakalo durmedaha pitaram satyavadinam navamanyasva dharmena swayamvaramupasmahe. He say that the daughters say that if you speak ill about our father, he will only be the cause of your death. So we will marry whomever we want as our father chooses. You need not come in between. Pita hi prabhurasmakam daivatam paramam hinaha yasya no dasyati pita sano bharta bhavishyati. So they have a lot of respect towards their father, and they say that whomever their father gives in marriage, only to that person we will marry. Finally, Brahmadatta is a person who marries the 100 daughters. वायु सर्वात्मको राजन् प्रदर्शयितुमिच्छति अशुभं मार्गमास्ताय न धर्मं प्रत्यवेक्षते. Now further, this daughters, they speak to Vayu, and then they further also speak to this person Brahmadatta, and they tell him Brahmadatta was another king, and they tell him what all had happened there. And further, in the next verse, they also go and talk to Vayu, and they say that Pitramasma bhadram te swachhatne navayam stitaha pitaram no vrinishvatvam yarino dasyate tava. So the daughters say, even if you wish to marry us, you may go and ask our father. If he allows, then we can marry. Now here, क्षान्तं क्षमावतं वतां पुत्र्यः कर्तव्यं सुमहत्कृतं ऐकमत्यमुपागम्य कुलं चावेक्षितं मम. Now what is the importance of this verse? If you see Kshanti and Kshama, now all the daughters, if you see, though they did not wish to marry Vayu and they felt that Vayu had not behaved with them properly, still they did not, towards the end, what they say, if you see in this verse, they say that if you still wish to marry us, you go, you request our father, because they forgive him immediately. They don't have that grudge against him saying that you have misbehaved like this with me and so and so. It doesn't happen that way. They directly go and tell Vayu, you go and ask the permission of our father. If he allows, then surely we can think of marriage. So they were very, you can say, they were forgiving, and because they also wished for peace that need to happen. So they were again, so that is the reason here you have the importance of Kshanti and Kshama. Now, if you look at the Ramayana, now all these verses, Kshama has a great value. Even for, you can say, though, no, look at all this, if you see, about 2-3 sargas in between, they are not talking about Rama, they are not talking about Lakshmana, Vishwamitra. The storyline has completely changed. But in between, they try to reveal a few values that are there, like the quality of Kshama. So again, when we look at the Ramayana, it should not limit us to see that, okay, it's just a mere religious text talking about the story of Rama. It is not limited to only that. Even certain values have been told in between, like here, if you see the value of forgiveness. Further, alankaro hinarinam kshamatu purushasya va dushkaram tachayat kshantam tridasheshu visheshataha yadrishiva kshama putra sarvasama visheshataha. So now, here Valmiki says that forgiveness, this is an ornament which should be there in everyone. Very difficult even for gods, because many times we cannot give up on our ego, right? Why should I forgive someone? It's very difficult to forgive someone. But then these daughters, 100 daughters of Kushal, for the 100 daughters of Kushanama, very easily they forgave Lord Vayu, and that was a great quality in them. Further, क्षमादानं क्षमायज्ञः क्षमा सत्यं हि पुत्रिकाः क्षमा यश क्षमा धर्मः क्षमया निष्ठितं जगत्. So Kshama is something which is very important if you see. Now if you look at the meaning down, Kshama is also called as acceptance. Acceptance is just as things are there, accepting that in the same way, if someone has done something wrong or so, forgive the person and live along. Now here you would have a doubt at times, always is it correct to forgive people? Does it mean that I have to always be tolerating and suffering? It may not be always like that, because many times you see that when one person gives up easily, or give up in the sense, one person when he forgives easily, many times you will see that a lot of arguments, or you can say time, will be saved. Otherwise, in mere argument or so, the opposite person speaks something, you speak something, the argument just keeps on and on and on, and there is no end to it at all. So it is always better to give up at times. Give up in the sense to always agree whatever happened and say, okay, it's fine, I can forgive you. If the person is ready to transform, and if the person realizes his or her mistake, why not give up? Many times it happens that even though the opposite person accepts what he or she has done is correct or wrong, still people will keep pinpointing, no, you said it that way, this is wrong, this is wrong. We keep on highlighting the same thing again and again. So this is just going to lead to a waste of time, and you are also sticking to your ego. There will be no solution out of this. You just end up fighting continuously. So therefore it is always better that at some point of time we arrive at a conclusion and we always give up for our own peace of mind. That is Kshama. Now they have just given a lot of explanation. Kshanti. Next is Vishwamitra talks about his lineage, that is his birth. Now why the story of, now you know why the story of Kushanama, why the story of Brahmadatta, why the story of Gadhi, everything has been told because Vishwamitra belonged to this lineage. So now Vishwamitra is talking about his birth story with Rama and Lakshmana. Kasyachit tvadakalasya kushanavasya rimataha Jagne paramadharmishtaha Gadirityeva namataha. After 100 daughters, finally a son was born to the king Kushanaba. His name was Gadhi. Sapita mamaka kutsta, and I am his son Vishwamitra. I was named as Kaushika because I was born in the Kushanaba. In that same family I was born. So that's the reason I was called as Kaushika. Later, after taking up sannyasa, I was named as Vishwamitra. Sapita mamaka kutsta Gandhif paramadharmikaha Kushavamsha prasutosmi Kaushiko ragunandana. So initially I was named as Kaushika. Gadhi is my father. So if you see, all the story has been told by Vishwamitra. Now though we feel that it is not directly related to the Ramayana, later when we keep on looking at 2 or 3 sargas more, we realize that Vishwamitra was talking about his own lineage. So Vishwamitra, when he was talking to Rama and Lakshmana, now through this we also get to know the nature of Vishwamitra, and again it becomes a life lesson for us. Reason being that behaving with people only till we need them, or till their need is over, then whatever you wish you do, that should never be done. Like in the case of Vishwamitra also, mainly he had brought Rama and Lakshmana for his own purpose. Now what was that purpose? That is, what was that purpose? The main purpose
to protect him.
Protect sacrifices, correct. So to protect the sacrifice. Now that purpose is done. All the asuras are killed. Tataka, Subahu, all the other demons. Maricha was shooed away. He has gone and fallen somewhere. Everything is done. Now Vishwamitra doesn't tell that, okay, now you people can leave now, your job is done. He doesn't do that. He thinks about the future of Rama. He takes him to the Sita Swayamvara. While he was doing this, second thing what he does is, he also tells more about Vishwamitra, more about himself, his lineage, his ancestors. So basically through this what we get to know is, one is we get to know about Vishwamitra. Second is, we also get to know the nature of Vishwamitra, which says that we must not stay with people, or especially people who help us, with only some motive that is, you help me, now your purpose is gone, you may leave. It's not like that. We should develop a good bond with them so that next time the person will always be there for us whenever we need him or her, right? Otherwise, usually or this might happen even with us, right? All of us would have come with so many experiences wherein people use us for some specific purpose and they leave, right? Their work is done, then they will not even look at us. Then we feel bad. Oh, I helped you so much. The person is not even looking at me, not even speaking to me properly, right? We feel bad. Of course, we do come out of that. So then Vishwamitra, to his behavior, And that too, if you consider Vishwamitra such a senior sage, these two are just boys, about 11 or 12 years old, small boys, but still his behavior shows that he had a lot of respect towards Rama and Lakshmana. He appreciates their efforts that have been put in. Though he had bought them for a purpose, the purpose is done, but still he behaves very nicely. He further thinks about Rama and Lakshmana. He develops a bond with them. He is very close to both of the boys. This nature of Vishwamitra shows that, and it ultimately helps and proves that both Rama and Lakshmana also are happy staying with them. Otherwise, they'll never feel like if a person behaves like this, we never feel like staying with them, right? Oh, he just wants his work to be done, that's it, and then he does not even look at us. That should never happen. So when Vishwamitra behaved nicely with the boys, they also felt to stay with Vishwamitra more and more. So through the Ramayana, always look at the Ramayana and all other texts with this approach also, even looking at the nature of people. Why Vishwamitra talks more about this? There is a reason for this. One is, of course, to tell about his lineage, or why Valmiki also has included this in the Ramayana, because through such instances we get to know a few life lessons also that are there, which many times all of us we don't practice, or we see people around us who don't practice. Someone's work is done, purpose is done, we let go, we even forget the person, we don't even remember, right? So this is very, very wrong. Okay, next is Sarga 35. Now they are proceeding towards Lanka. So now meanwhile Vishwamitra is telling all the story. Next is the legend of Ganga. Now earlier times Ganga used to stay in heaven. She was a heavenly river, and later she had to be brought on earth. So how it happened? Let's see. तस्यां गङ्गेयमभवत् ज्येष्ठा हिमवतः सुता उमा नाम द्वितीया भूनामा तस्यैव राघवः. Now Himavan is the Himalayas. First order of Himavan is Ganga. Second is Uma, that is goddess Parvati. So that is the reason why Uma and Parvati used to always have a tussle between both of them. Reason being, both were sisters, but if you see, Parvati was married to Shiva, and Ganga is always kept on the head of Shiva. So there are a few folklores or so, like in a humorous way, you find that many places Ganga and Parvati will always have an argument. The reason being, they feel that Shiva is showing more affection or so to one person, though they both are sisters. So Ganga is actually the eldest sister, and she helps in the birth of Kartikeya. That will also come now. So again in the Skanda Purana also we were seeing yesterday. So that is when Ganga helps in the birth of Kartikeya further, that is because of her sister Uma. So Ganga is the elder sister of Parvati. She was born to Manorama. Now Manorama Mena is a mother of Parvati. Himavan's another wife was Manorama. Dadau dharmena Himavan tanayam lokapavanim swachanda patagam Ganga trailokya hitakam yaya. So Himavan had given very good samskaras to Ganga, and therefore Ganga was a very, you can say, a very good lady, and that's when Himavan, he had given her a boon, saying that wherever you want you can flow at your free will. So you assume the form of a river, and wherever you want you can keep on flowing. So she used to keep on flowing in heaven, hell, earth and so on. She used to always keep flowing, but she used to live only in heaven then. Ugrena tapasa yuktam dadau shailavarassutam rudraya pratirupaya umam loka namaskritam. So finally, after Parvati, after Uma does a lot of tapasya, she gets the hand of Lord Shiva. She finally marries Lord Shiva. So the marriage of Shiva and Rudra has also been mentioned in the Ramayana. If you want, make a note, Sarga 35, Balakandam. Further, now if you look at this Sarga, Uma's curse to the Devas. Rama first asks the story in detail, why Ganga is holy and so on. So that Vishwamitra explains. Further, all the gods, they pray to Shiva. Now, mainly the birth of Tarakasura was mainly the birth of Kartikeya was needed to slay Tarakasura. That is the reason why Parvati and Shiva had to be married. That was their the reason number one, or the main purpose. So later, of course, Kartikeya was born through the energy of Shiva, through the 6 Kritikas. Ganga flows, and she through not through Parvati, because Parvati there, if you see now, Uma, if you can look here, Uma had actually cursed the Devas that they will not have any children. That is the reason you see that most of the Devas, they don't have any children. Of course, in some incarnations or so they have. Otherwise, apart from that, if you think all the other gods, only for Shiva you see there are children, right? Ganesha and Parvati, Ganesha and Kartikeya. All other gods, if you see, Brahma has got a few Manasa Putras that are there, but they were much before, like at the time of creation also. Vishnu has not got any children, or even so on. Like this, now you might find in a few references, like for Krishna, or even for Indra, sometimes you have Jayanta and so on, but it will happen only when they have taken some incarnations as such. Like for example, Rama, when he Rama Avatara, Krishna Avatara, and such incarnations, children can be seen. Apart from that, you don't find children. And even if you have a few gods who have children, that would be before the curse of Uma. So basically, Uma had cursed all the devas. That's the reason they don't have children at all. And finally, Kartikeya and even Parvati also had got a curse that biologically she will not be able to give birth to any child. That is the reason even Ganesha was also born in a special manner, if you notice. And even Kartikeya also, through 6 kritikas he was born, wherein the generative fluid or the sperms of Shiva were transported to the 6 kritikas, and that's how they were born. So Ganga was you can say she was a major part of doing this. Therefore, the mother of Kartikeya is also considered to be Ganga to some extent. Though it is Parvati, it is also Ganga. So this was how Kartikeya was born. Further, Rudra, Uma, they also do a lot of penance. Now finally, the birth of Kartikeya. यदस्य निर्गतं तस्मात् तप्तजाम्बूनदप्रभं काञ्चनं धरणी प्राप्तं हिरण्यममलं शुभम्. Now basically Ganga was the one, now she had a boon, right? She could move wherever she wants at free will. So she was the one who was transporting this embryo, the child that was created through the 6 kritikas. It was actually the child of Shiva. She was the one who brought about here and there. That's the reason why Kartikeya's mother is also termed as Ganga. And it finally reached the earth. Now the embryo of Kartikeya, it was actually like gold. ताम्रं कार्ष्णाय संचैव तैक्ष्ण्यादैवाभ्यजायत मलं तस्याभवत् तत्र त्रपुसी सकमेव च तद्देतधरणीं प्राप्य नानाधातुरवर्धत. And now this is how you have the formation of metals and minerals on earth. How they were formed, it was through the birth of Kartikeya, it seems. Copper, iron, zinc, gold, everything, how it was formed, various metals. That is when this embryo of Kartikeya, when it reached the earthen surface, that's when the formation of different metals and minerals took place. Now, you can say the lineage of Rama and ancestors of Rama, at the same time how Ganga was brought on earth. That story is here. Eka janayita tata putram mamshakaram tava shashtim putra sahasrani aparajanayishyati. So Bhrigu tells the ancestors of Rama that so many sons will be born to you, one wife will beget a son, and the other 60,000 sons. Ekaf kasya suto brahman ka bahun janayishyati shrodamicha mahe brahman satyamastu vachastava. Now here actually this, whatever, all the stories are being told by Vishwamitra to Rama and Lakshmana. Therefore they, Rama and Lakshmana, they are asking, oh Brahma Rishi, we wish to hear more. You tell what is happening. Who will beget one son, who will have many sons, and so on. This is the story of Sagara, Bhagiratha, and so on. So Vishwamitra continues speaking. For Sagara, the 60,000 ones were born. He decides to do the Ashwamedha sacrifice. Indra comes there to steal the horse of Sagara. Yojanayam Yojanayam Mavistaram Ekaiko Dharanitalam Bibiduv Parushavyagra Vajrasparsha Samairnakaha. Now the formation of the ocean. From Sagara, how Sagara has come in. metals, minerals are formed through the birth of Kartikeya. Next is the formation of the ocean or Sagara. So how it happened was, all those 60,000 men, all those 60,000 sons of Sagara, they were responsible for this. They started digging up the earth. Yojananam sahasrani shashtim turaganandana vividur dharanim viraha rasatalamanuttamam. And after digging through the ocean, they went out. They finally reached the Patala, that is Rasatala. In Patala Loka also, there are 7 hills. In that, one of that is Rasatala. And while they go there, Kapila, he sees the sun and burns them into ashes. Shrutva vachanam tesham kapilo raghunandana roshena mahata vishtaha hunkara makarottada. Now 60,000 suns are there, so obviously there is going to be a lot of noise, and it disturbs the penance or disturbs the tapasya of Sagara, of Kapila, and that's when he just utters the sound while he was meditating, and all the sons of Sagara, they are reduced to ashes. Tatastena prameyena kapilena mahatmana masmarashi krita sarve kakutsta sagaratmajaha. Thus they were all reduced to ashes. Further, Anshuman was one grandson for Sagara. Sagara tells that you go and you look for the horse. Now this horse whom Indra had seen, it had actually reached Patala. That is the reason why all the 60,000 sons of Sagara, they had gone in search of that horse. Ultimately they were all burnt there. So now Sagara did not know this news, so he sends his grandson Anshuman. Now here if you see in this Sarga only, for Sarga number 41, Anshuman, he goes, he meets the horse and so on, but then he meets a lot of elephants on his way, and he gets blessings from all those elephants that he will bring back the horse. But then ultimately he also could not do that. He just went on. So then later they realize that only if you bring Ganga. Now finally some references say that even though he brought back the horse, the ashes that were there, they had to be given moksha. So therefore for that, this will happen only when Ganga river is brought from heaven to earth. Only then all the ashes will be washed away and so on. So Sagara, he could not do that. He got put in a lot of efforts. He ruled for about 60,000 years, but ultimately he could not do anything. He reaches Swarga. Now why Ganga had to be brought in? Sachaivam abravidvakyam vainateyo mahabalaha mashuchaf purushavyagra vadoyam lokasammataha. So Anshuman, his father, they were the 60,000 sons of Sagara. Anshuman wanted to do some karma for his fathers. He said, I want to at least meet the ashes. I want to take the ashes of my fathers, so how I can do. So at that time, Garuda, he tells Anshuman that, anyway, this is the will, how things have taken place. Kapilena prameyena dagdahi me mahabalaha salilam narhasi pragnya datumesham hilaukikam. Now all the 60,000 sons, they were the uncles of Anshuman. Because if you remember, initially we had seen there was one son and then 60,000. So therefore, like the stepfathers. So then Garuda, he says that you just don't do the karma with just you can say normal water that is there. You have to do using very pure water, that is Ganga Jalam. That is the reason why even today we use the Ganga Jalam for auspicious puja purposes and so on. Right? So the same thing is done even here. So Garuda tells him all this, and Anshuman finally decides to bring back Ganga. But he could not do that. Ganga himavato jeshna duhita purusha rishaba tasyam kuru mahabaho pitrunam tu jalakriya. So here Garuda says that you have to do Darpana, you have to do all the rituals using Ganga, who's eldest daughter of Himavat. Now Anshuman, Sagara dies. Anshuman does penance for almost 32,000 years, and he also attains heaven. He also was not successful in bringing down Ganga. Next, his son Dilipa, he also rules for the same time. He also reaches heaven. Finally, Bhagirath comes down, and he is concerned about the last rise, and he does penance for about just 1,000 years, and he requests for 2 boons. Tasmin Rajyam Samaveshya Dilipe Raghunandana Himavat Shikare Punye Tapastepe Sudarunam. So now if you notice why all these kings are doing a lot of penance, so that they could do the proper rites for their ancestors. That is the reason why they are putting in so much of efforts, doing penance, ultimately reaching heaven without achieving whatever they wanted to. So they could not bring back Ganga, but still these ancestors did not give up. This itself states the importance of all the karma, be it now not only the Shraddha karma, be it for all the karmas that we do, generations together in the Raghuvamsha. These are all the ancestors of Rama. Generations together, people have put in efforts to do karma. We cannot do it even for our own grandfathers, right? So when so much in detail has been mentioned about the ancestors of Rama and why they have been putting so much of efforts to bring back Ganga and so on, this itself shows the importance of all the rituals that we follow. So generations together, people are doing tapasya for thousands of years. Still they are unsuccessful, but still the next person does not give up. But usually what happens is you do it for one generation or so and then you give up. So that should never be done. When so much of stress has been given in all these texts, it shows the significance of all the karma that we do. So Amshaman also, he did a lot of penance, but he was also not successful in that. So then finally what happens is he was also not successful. He gives the kingdom to his son Dilipa and he goes about. द्वात्रिंशच्च सहस्राणि वर्षाणि सुमहायशाः तपोवनं गतो राम स्वर्गं लेभे तपोधनः. So all this Vishwamitra is telling Rama. Then so Rama, finally Anshuman, he does tapasya for 32,000 years, and he attains heaven, but he could not attain his objective of bringing down Ganga. Next, Bhagirath, he starts his penance. Mantrishmadaya tadrajyam Ganga vatarane rataha satapo dirgamatishtad gokarane raghunandana urdvabahuv panchatapama saha rojitendriyaha tasya varsha sahasrani gore tapasi tishtataha. Bhagirath goes to a place called Gokarna. He hands over the kingdom to his ministers, and there he does Ghora Tapasya. He lifts all his 4 arms up and does tapasya by fires on the 4 sides. He has fire. He takes food only once a month. All his senses were controlled. So like this he did Panchatapa. Panchatapa is a type of tapa for many years together, for about 1,000 years. Finally, तत्र देवर्षिगन्धर्वा वसुधा तलवासिनः भवाङ्गपतितं तोयं पवित्रमिति पस्पृशः. Finally, Brahma is pleased with his tapasya, if you see here, and that's when Ganga decides to come down. But now who will bring Ganga down? If she flows directly, the entire earth will be submerged, will be flooded. So therefore Shiva decides that I will bring her on my jata, and that's when he holds her. Tatra Devarshi Gandharva. That's how it touches the earth with a lot of respect through Ganga. Now there are a few other references which say that in some folklores Ganga was very proud when she had to come down. So in total force she was coming in. At that time Shiva holds her nicely in her jata, saying that don't be too proud of your achievements, you're being brought down for a purpose. So that is also another story to it. शापात् प्रपतिताये च गगनाद् वसुधातलं कृत्वा तत्राभिषेकं ते बभूवुर्गतकल्मषाः. Thus, those who took a bath, even till date we take the Ganga river bath, they were absolved of their sins after bathing there. This is the significance. दूतपापाः पुनस्तेन तोयेनाथ सुभास्वता पुनराकाशमाविश्य स्वान् लोकान् प्रतिपेदिरे. So once again, whoever took a bath in this Ganga river after absolving all their sins, they reached back heaven. Now further, even normal people also, mumude mudito lokaha tena toyena bhaswata kritabhisheko gangayam babhuta vikadaklamaha. So finally, so thus people were very happy, and they took a dip in the Ganga, and all their fatigue, all their worries, everything went away. So that's the reason even till date we have the Ganga Snanam that we do, very, very auspicious. Further, Bhagirath, he does the rites of his ancestors, and because of Bhagirath, Ganga was born. That's the reason why she gets the name as Bhagirathi. सागरस्य जलं लोके यावत् स्थास्यति पार्थिव सगरस्यात्मजास्तावत् स्वर्गे स्थास्यन्ति दैववत्. So here Ganga, she blesses Bhagirath, and she says that as long as the waters are there in the ocean in this world, till then the sons of Sagara will live in heaven, because you have done the karma by ensuring that I wash their ashes and go away. So this was the significance of bringing down Ganga and washing the ashes of Sagara's sons. Yam cha duhita jeshta tava Ganga bhavishyati tava tvatkrite cha namnatha loke stasyati vishruta. Further, he tells Brahma, Bhrigu, such sages, they tell Bhagiratha that this Ganga, she will become your elder daughter, and from now she will be known in this world as Bhagirathi. This is how Ganga gets the name of Bhagirathi. Further, Yaccha Gangavataranam Tvaya Kritamarind Marindama Anena cha Bhavan Prapto Dharmasya Yatanam Mahat. So now everyone praises Bhagiratha, saying that you have brought this Ganga with you. This itself shows your good deeds, and you are going to get surely a very good place in heaven. Further, Eshate Rama Gangaya Vistaro Bihito Maya Swasti Prapnuhi Bhatram Te Sandhya Kaloti Vartate. Finally, with this, the evening time comes in. Vishwamitra tells Rama that I've told you the story of Ganga and everything about my ancestors. Now it is time to do our Sandhya Karma, that is the Sandhya Vandana and so on. So let us do that. Now for those who chant this Sarga, that is there, Sarga 43, 44, for them what is a Phalashruti? Dhanyam yashasya manyushyam putram swargyamati vacha yashravayati vipreshu kshatriyesh vitareshu cha priyante pitarastasya priyante daivatani cha. So if you see basically the Phalashruti of chanting this Sarga would be to please our ancestors. That is the main purpose of this. So this is what has been told. So when you have the Ganga Jayanti that takes place, people have the habit of chanting Sargas 43 and 44 from the Balakanda. They will also chant the Ganga Stotram, that is it. Devi Sureshwari Bhagavati Gange Tribhuvanatarini Taralatarange. So this also they will chant. So especially on the Ganga Jayanti that falls every year. Ganga Jayanti, when does it fall? Anyone has an idea? Roughly, I think in the month of March or April it should come in, when you have the Chaitra month, right? That's what I think so. So during that time you have the Ganga Jayanti which is there, or whenever, even if you go to Ganga also you can chant this. So Sargas 43, 44, mainly Sarga 44, and the Ganga Stotram that is there, that also should be chanted. So mainly the purpose is to as a prayer to Ganga, and mainly the Phalashruti also, that person will be blessed with long life and everything. Okay, so this is what Vishwamitra tells Rama, and finally they conclude. And for those who hear also, there is a Phalashruti. Idamakhyanam avyagro Ganga vataranam shubham yashranoti chakakutsta sarvan kamanavapnuyat sarve papa pranashyanti ayuh kirtishta vardhate. Even those who listen to the story, even if you cannot read, you can listen, all your desires will be achieved, sins will be destroyed, and you will have a long life, fame and so on. You will be blessed with fame. So this is a significance, a very, very, you can say, very auspicious thing to read the story of the Ganga. Next. Now why so much has been stressed on Ganga? Let's look at that. Now a few shlokas on Ganga. Gange gange diyo bruyat yojananam shatairapi muchyate sarva, it should be not sarva, muchyate sarva papebhyo vishnulokam sagacchati. So those who chant the mantras related to or shlokas related to Ganga, they'll go to Vishnuloka, that is ultimately to Vaikuntha. Gange cha yamune chaiva godavari saraswati narmade sindhu kaveri jalesmin sannidhim kuru. So the names of important rivers. This shloka should always be chanted while taking a bath. Normally when we take our bath also, if we chant this shloka and take a bath, it is as if we are taking a bath in the 7 rivers that are mentioned. Now here, why Avatarana Mahatmyam or Ganga Avatar Mahatmyam? Why it has been mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana? Let's have a look at that. Now, first question here itself is 60,000 plus 1. These were the children for Sagara. So, if you see 60,000 children were born, all of them were reduced to ashes. Then one separate child was born. So, therefore, even though the point that has been told here is do not go by the numbers at all. If you go by the numbers, then it is of no use. No, I have so many children, I have 5 children, I have 6 children, or it can be even in terms of money also. Going by the quantity always does not matter. If you have 5 children, if none of them is useful, then what is the use, right? Or if nobody is even looking at you, what is the use of begetting so many children? It may not be even in the case of children, it can be for anything. You end up buying 10 clothes. If all the 10 clothes are not fitting you, what is the use? Instead you buy one, if that fits you properly, we can at least use that, right? So therefore we must never go by the quantity. Quality is all that matters. Secondly, 5 generations have put in efforts to redeem, that is to ensure that Sagara's sons, the ashes of Sagara's sons are washed away. Starts from Sagara, Asamanja. Now Asamanja was a special character in the Ramayana. He was though in the lineage of Sagara he came, but then he was a bit, you can say, a negative character. So this again tries to show that now in the Raghuvamsha, if you see, all the kings were there: Sagara, Anshuman, Dileepa, Bhagiratha, Aja, Dasharatha, Rama, Raghu. All of them were quite, you can say, very well behaved or great kings, except for this Asamanjas. Asamanjas was a negative character who used to always cause a lot of trouble, and it seems that he was so evil that to the extent he used to even throw children and throw people in wells. So that was his amount of that was his behavior that he used to do. So a very evil man. Of course later he was banished from the kingdom and so on, but still he also had tried little to save Ganga, to some extent save Ganga in the sense to bring back his ancestors. So bring back the ashes of his ancestors. So therefore here through this Ganga Avatara, the purpose, if you see, ancestors' blessings are very, very valuable. That's the reason why now today if we are doing something good, it is not because that we are putting in efforts or our parents are putting in efforts. It is because all our generation ancestors are putting in efforts. And that's the reason why today if you are doing something good, it is not going to benefit you in any way. It will benefit your next generations to come. So therefore, whenever someone says that I'm putting in efforts or I'm doing something good or bad, always remember that it is going to affect your future generation. Very simple example. You have a property. The person, say for example, your grandfather had some property. He did not write a proper hire for the throne, for the property. He did not write someone's name also. Today, the grandfather has died about 50 or 100 years back. Today still you are fighting for that property. Why so? Because of the deeds of your ancestor, of your grandfather. He did not write that. Correct? This is a very everyday example. This same is applicable even for all the other karmas and rituals that we do. So if you do something good, it surely affects our future generations. Again, a very simple example. You need not think that all this has been told without reason, but these are all just superstitions. It is not at all like that. If today when you are putting in some efforts, say for example you are listening to the Ramayana every Sunday, or maybe you do some other good things, your grandchildren are also looking at you. They are also looking, your children, grandchildren, they are seeing you doing this. They themselves are not doing that. You might feel looking at them that they are not going to do this also, but at some point of time it will surely have an impact, and the child surely feels at some time that, oh, my grandmother or my grandfather is doing this every day. Maybe not today, maybe you cannot see it in front of your eyes, just as you see. Not able to see does not mean it does not exist, right? So you might feel that your child does not have any interest at all, but at some point of time it surely has a turning point, and maybe that's the reason why we also come across, right? Or maybe we ourselves would have experienced this. Maybe you see something and then you remember, yes, I remember, like when I was young or so, my grandfather also used to do this. Now I remember that. We make such statements, right? So at some point of time, usually always it will affect the future generations to come in. So whatever we do today is going to have an impact on the future generation. So if you care for your children and grandchildren, we must surely put in efforts today. I put in efforts for myself. Our life is Now most of you here, if you see, almost you're 50 or 60, right? Few more years you are going to live in, but then of course that benefits you will get in, but then in the long run it is going to affect your future generations to come in. So only if today we are good, we behave in a right way, only then the future generation will be secure. Again, a simple example: grandfather, he sows a seed of a mango tree. The mango tree will not give fruits maybe while the grandfather is alive. The fruits will be received by the son or by the grandson for that matter, right? So the grandfather is not going to enjoy the fruits of the tree, but he has put in efforts which will be useful for the future generations. So therefore all the, like all through all these examples that I told you, be it property or be it sowing a seed and so on, even for all the rituals and the karma that we do, why it is so important to do the karma is the same logic that is applied there too. Just because you cannot see something doesn't mean that their blessings are not there, but doesn't mean that they do not look upon you and so on. So therefore we must always be thankful. If you look around, if you look back, you can always see that today if you are born here, you can see so many generations back, you have to be thankful to your ancestors. For one person to be born, you need two parents, one mother and father. Then you need two sets of grandparents, maternal side, paternal side. Then their parents, then their parents. Like this, it keeps on going. The list is endless. That's how we have the concept of Pitru Rinam, meaning we always have a loan, a Rinam, a debt towards our ancestors. Because if not for them, today I would also not be there. So therefore, this has been stressed even in the Ramayana, wherein Sagara, for Sagara's sons to attain moksha, for their ashes to be washed away, all the future generations, future and kings also put in a lot of efforts to bring about Ganga on earth. For the lot of efforts have been put in. Sagara lived 60,000 years. Anshuman, he did penance for 32,000 years. Dilipa did, Bhagirath did, and finally, then Ganga, she stepped down. So the message to all of this is, message to this example mainly is, to achieve something we have to put in a lot of efforts. I do something today, I have not got the fruits, we give up. That should never be done. Only for generations together, years together we put in efforts, only then the fruits will be received. Otherwise it is not going to be an easy job at all. Now if you calculate, all the numbers are being told, roughly about 1,25,000 years of penance was being done by 5 generations altogether. 60,000 sons were destroyed. Now for a cause is, if those 60,000 sons of Sagara were not killed then by Kapila, if they were not burned, Ganga would have never come down to earth, right? And many other gods also come in, Brahma, Shiva, Ganga, all the devas, Indra, elephants. Anshuman goes and speaks to the elephants. Vinata, Garuda speaks to Anshuman, Kapila, Jahannu, and so on. Like this, so many people, efforts of so many people. So therefore, if in a society we have to live in, we have to always look at the magnitude of efforts that are being put in. That is very, very important. Now if for a country to function more, it's not that though you see a few people on stage, you have a performance. I'll give you a simple example. Say for example, you have a dance program or so. We just look at the dancers who are there on stage and we appreciate them. Say that you dance very well, your expressions were very good and so on, right? But the people who are there behind the dance performance, we never notice them. Maybe it can be the makeup artist or the costume artist or the teacher, or even people who take care of the lighting part, stage part, this, that, everything, right? So people on the backstage also have a very important role to play. Though we see something in front of our eyes, we feel that only that is true. It is not at all so. Though we cannot see something from our naked eyes, there are many things that are true all around. This we must always have a look at. So that is the same thing which has been told here. To achieve something, lot of efforts had to be put in. We cannot put in efforts. We put in efforts for a few years also. We are tired, right? We need results immediately. In the case of Rama's ancestors, they put efforts for almost 5 generations together. That's how finally they could achieve the fruit.
Can you show that slide, madam?
Yes.
Life constantly throws choices in front of us, which are good or pleasant.
This one, right?
Not this one. Life constantly throws 3 slides before. Life constantly throws choices in front of us. This one. You didn't explain. Life constantly throws choices in front of us, which are good or pleasant. Food is far in between and pure. Food is gentle, not a free food business. Students need to make these choices. The Lord does not hand out the choice. Okay, thank you.
So basically this here is, in this slide mainly what they want to tell is, through the Ganga Avatarana story, is that when we sit and cry, now in the case of Sagara also, he's got 60,000 sons. He does not have an option there. Life did not give him a choice whether you want one son or you want 60,000 sons. Whatever he had to face that. And even after 60,000 children being born in, all of them were reduced to ashes in one go. So imagine the plight of Sagara. Right? So similarly in life also, whenever we are experiencing something, we don't have a choice there, right? Many times it happens that you are blessed with something, or at times you have to even choose between one or two things. So therefore, always everything will not be ready made to us. How you put in efforts, that is very very important. Say for example, now in a Sunday morning you have a choice. Already you have listening to the Ramayana, maybe you have a choice of listening to something else also, or maybe you want to go out somewhere, or you have some other commitment. So you have to make a choice there, saying that which is good for you, which is bad for you, or maybe you have to have your priorities set, right? So everything will not be ready made. The God will not only pave a way, always saying, this is what you have to do, I have given you a life, you have been blessed with a human birth, now everything has to happen as I do. Therefore, that's the reason we say that we can change our destiny. So this can be seen here. That's the reason why Sagara and all the ancestors, they put in a lot of efforts. If efforts were not to be put, then God would never behave that way, right? So everything is not just pre-planned. Okay, this everything has been written in a book. You have to just follow that. It doesn't happen that way. We can also make changes if we make the right choices at the right time. Rajanji, want to say something?
Yeah, Hari Om. I just wanted to check out, is Sagara symbolic of Sagara?
Sagara, yes, that's how Sagara has come in, correct.
Dhanyawad.
Okay, so basically why the Ganga Avatara took place, and through the episode of Ganga Avatara, what happened, or what was the significance, how we must look at that. Now Ganga Avatara, we might feel that it's a simple incident of bringing the Ganga from heaven to earth, but then why things happened in so and so way, for that there's a lot of importance how we can relate that, what that has to be that has been highlighted here. And through this what we get to know is, things in life, whenever you might feel that it is very simple, but then even for a simple thing to happen, we have to put in a lot of efforts. And whenever things happen in life, there is surely a reason for that. Maybe immediately we don't get answers, later in life we have proper reasons for this. Now there are a few episodes that are there. Now a few questions you might have in your mind. Why did the Devas, they request Shiva that you don't give birth immediately, you wait? Because Parvati had been got a curse, for that she could not give biologically birth. And then you have Sagara's wives, they were all blessed in 60,000 sons. Then 4 generations, their penance was left unanswered. Why did Shiva hold Ganga in his head? So these were all a few questions that have been taken place. Now why this happens? For this, this is like a chart. Now through this, these are just a few questions that were asked. Now why these questions were mentioned is, many times we also in our life, when we don't have things happening as we want, we keep questioning, right? And then we continuously bargain for results with everyone, including God. I've put in efforts, I've not got it. Why? Right? So continuously we keep asking, but surely we must realize that there is a reason that is there for everything. You might not get answers immediately to all your questions, but whatever happens will always have a reason. So simply judging, like you see, you're judging everything and everyone around, this is bad, that is bad, continuously keeping names for someone, not accepting what is happening around, keeping on questioning things, in that only we will waste half of our life. Instead of doing that, in the course of time you might get answers to all your questions. We have to be very very patient for this. So this is a story of Ganga Avatara. You have a lot of explanation that is there, why Ganga is so holy to us. Now Ganga, now if you see in blue it is written, right, Ganga is not equal to Ganges. That means Ganga should always be looked at as the daughter of Himavat, as a goddess, not just as a mere river called the Ganges who originates in Gangotri. It's not like that. We must always look at the Ganga as a goddess. Then as a divine mother, Prakriti, 5 messages. What was that? This were the messages that is there. Whatever events take place, we must know why it takes place. There is a specific purpose for that. Then continuously judging events and people without knowing the reason for that. Then simply making some assumptions, and then this happens, right? You just make some assumptions, whatever you feel, and ultimately that will not be true also. So just anticipating whatever you feel and then coming to a certain point without knowing the reality, this is very much wrong. We must surely wait for the results to take place. So ultimately we have to be patient, but at the same time we have to go on. We have to not stop. We have to continuously put efforts, and there sure be a large plan that is there. So now through this incident, why we are going so much in detail, why it has been mentioned here, is that this is something which we relate to our lives also, right? You put in some efforts, you don't get results immediately, we feel dejected or we don't like it. So in the case of Ganga also, you see, for 4 generations they had to put in efforts, only then things happen. So through this story is what we get to realize is we have to always be patient, we have to accept what is the reality. There will be surely a bigger plan than this. We have to be very patient and wait for that. Only then life will bless us with the best. So through this Ganga Avatarana story also, Ganga Avatara story, we must not just merely look at it as a bringing of Ganga from heaven to earth, but there is what we get to learn through this outcome, that is also very, very important. Finally, Tato Devarshi Gandharva Yaksha Siddhagana Sada Velokayantade Tatra Gaganadam Gatam Tatha. So all the Devas, Gandharvas, Yakshas, they are witnessing how Ganga is falling from the sky, how she is coming on the earth. Vimanair Nagarakairair Hayair Gajavarai Sada Pariplava Gataishchapi Devatas Tatra Vishtitaha. So everyone is sitting on their vahanas, on elephants, horses, on all the gods' respective vahanas. They are sitting and they are enjoying this sight. तदद्भुततमं लोके गङ्गापतनमुत्तमं दिदृक्षवो देवगणा समीयुरमितौजसः सम्पतद्भिः सुरगणैस्तेषां च वरणौजसा शतादित्यमिवा भाति गगनं गततो यदम्. So the entire sky is filled with gods shining in their jewels, ornaments, and you can say rich clothes, and it appeared as though they were so bright to look at, as if 100 suns are laying in the skies to witness the descent of Ganga. Finally, Ganga reaches the earth. That Shankara Shiro Brashtam Brashtam Bhumitale Punaha Vyarochata Tadatoyam Nirmalam Gatakalmasham. Finally, she descends on earth, on Shankara's head, and from there she comes to the earth. And then the water looks very pure and clean. Therefore, we must always keep it pure. Now, one more significance, why so much of importance has been told for Ganga is, today's times we see that Ganga water is being polluted, and we have projects like Save Ganga and so on, right? Today also, if you go very casually, we throw garbage or we take a bath and everything, like as if you apply soap, all such things also. Even if we ourselves do not do that, you go to such places, you would have witnessed, right? But people very casually, even in Kashi and such places, you go directly, dead bodies are thrown in the water. So that should actually not be done. Or you see, even the cremation that takes place near the Ganga bank. So ultimately, those ashes also, they get washed away in the Ganga river. So though there is a spiritual belief that all the ashes have to go in the Ganga river and so on, still, or even today also, when we do the Asti Visarjanam, you pour it in the water. But at least throwing the ashes to some extent is fine. But then in certain places in Kashi and so on, directly sometimes, now I don't think nowadays it happens much, but earlier times the dead body used to be directly thrown in the water body. And then ultimately in a few days it gets dissolved, it gets decomposed. But then all such things should not be done. When we look at the Ganga as a goddess, now we have seen so much about Ganga being a goddess, and we must not surely do such things which are very, you can say, which causes a lot of pollution, and at the same time it is pollutes the river. Mainly the divinity that we can see in the Ramayana, many other texts about it is as if you are doing it for our own self, maybe to a person or even a godly person. For Shiva, Vishnu, just as we look at such gods, even Ganga also has to be looked at a god. That's the reason why even Shankaracharya has written Ganga Stotram. Even for Yamuna, he has written Yamuna Ashtakam. For Narmada, there's Narmada Stotram. Or why we visit all these rivers, holy spots, you have a lot of pilgrimage places on the banks of this river. So this has a lot of importance. So the water should always kept clean and pure. So today when we have projects like Save Ganga or so, there is a purpose behind that, but on an individual level also, how far we do is very, very important. Very casually we feel that no, I'll just throw maybe a wrapper or so. What difference it makes? People are throwing water. If I throw a small wrapper, what it happens? Surely happens, right? Even in small things also it does matter. So therefore the Ganga water should always kept pure and clean. So today, now that we know that Ganga is a goddess herself and her importance, the Mahatmyam significance that we saw, throwing rubbish in Ganga is surely something which is very disturbing, and we should not do that.
So when to come on Shankara's head means on Shiva's head.
Yes, Shiva said, correct. Now Phalashruti, Dhanyam Yashasyama Putram Swargyamati Vacha Yashravayati Vipreshu Kshatriyesh Vitareshu Cha Priyante Pitarastasya Priyante Daivatani Cha. Just as we saw in 44-45, it is the same Phalashruti that is there.
Palashruda, there you are written as
Phalashruti.
Okay.
Okay. So it is the same Phalashruti that we saw even for the previous chapter. Next
Okay.
is, you have next Sarga number 45. One second. Next is the story of Samudra Manthana. Now finally Ganga river is ascended. Next you have the Samudra Manthana. One second. I'll share this slide. One second. One second, just hold on. I hope till here everything is clear. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, actually, very interesting.
Okay. So through this, what we get to know, another very important part is the Ramayana, though we say that it is a story of just Rama, still why so much of highlight is being done on just, you can say, Ganga is just a river, right? But still lot of importance is being done. This itself shows that why in our culture we try to pray and we try to worship even natural elements like Ganga, Yamuna, trees and so on. So this itself shows that there is a lot of significance for everything that we see around, and it is very important that we respect rivers and even natural elements all around. So when we tell, today we feel very proud, people are telling don't countries, this and that, all this has been told in the Ramayana then. Only thing is we did not feel like looking at it in the right way. Okay, so in those times, if Rama's ancestors have put in a lot of efforts, almost 4 generation efforts doing tapasya to bring the river Ganga on earth, they surely had a purpose, because the world needed water, right? So that's when, if they have put in a lot of efforts, that surely shows that the importance of rivers, natural elements, water is very much there. Okay, next is, so with this the Ganga Avatara story comes to an end. Next we have the story of the Amrita Mathanam, or the Samudra Mathanam, churning of the ocean. Vishwamitra tells Rama and Lakshmana the story. Vishala is the place wherein the Samudra Manthana had taken place, wherein the Dityas and Adityas. Dityas are the sons of Diti, Adityas are the sons of Aditi. That is basically the demons and the gods. They start churning the ocean, and you have different things that come out, like the moon, goddess Mahalakshmi. Mandara mountain is the churning rod. Correct. Mandara mountain is you can say the churning rod. Vasuki is used for churning, and then for the base, Lord Vishnu took an incarnation as Kurma Avatara took place to have a balance, to balance the Mandara mountain properly. Many things come out, Apsaras come out, then Goddess Mahalakshmi comes out, then the Hala poison comes out, which was consumed by Lord Shiva. His neck became blue, that's what he was called Neelakantha. Then the Kaustuba gem came in, which was taken by Vishnu. And the Airavata elephant came in, which was taken by Indra. Uchchaishravas horse came out, which was taken. 7-headed horse, which came out. Then Chandra, moon god, came out, which was taken by Shiva. Like this, there were many gems that came out of the ocean. Then finally, nectar came out. Dhanvantari Bhagwan bought nectar, Amrita. All the Devas and Daityas, they started fighting. That's when Lord Vishnu, he took an avatar as Mohini Avatara, the female avatara, and she takes away the nectar, goes away, and she tries to, you can say, distract the demons. All of them were distracted by her beauty. She makes both the devas and demons sit down in two separate lines. She gives the amrita to devas first. Then at that time, two demons, Rahu and Ketu, they understand that it is some trick that is being done. We are just being distracted by this Mohini, and ultimately we are not going to get anything. That's when they go and sit in the line of devas. That's why we worship Rahu and Ketu in the Navagrahas that is there. So that's when immediately they understand, and the head of Rahu is being cut out. So Rahu and Ketu, that's how their only one body is there. Ketu has a body, Rahu has only the head that is there, because it was immediately cut out by Sudarshana Chakra when they knew. That's the reason why even till date people face, we don't have demons who are there alive, but then people face Rahu dosha, Ketu dosha, and so on, right? Or we have the concept of eclipse that is there. So Rahu and Ketu, they come in between the position of the sun and the moon. So Rahu and Ketu, because they have consumed Amrita, they are very much there till date. Of course, fully they could not reach it. It reached only till their neck. Immediately Vishnu realizes that. So the story of Samudra Mantana also and the Mohini Avatara is described. Now what Rama questions? Adharamo Mahapragnaha Vishwamitram Mahamunim Prapacha Pranjalir Bhutva Vishala Uttamam Purim. So Rama first questions about the city of Vishala. What is the city, what happened here, and so on. So Vishala is the place wherein mainly the churning of the ocean had taken place. So mainly Rama asks, what is this Vishala, where it is, and so on. This is the place wherein even you have the Ahalya Shapa Moksha, it will come in later. So that's where it is done. So this place, what is the significance of this place, and so on, Rama keeps questioning. Kataro rajavam shoyam vishalayam mahamune shrodhamicham aham badram te param kautuhalam hime. Then he tells, I'm curious about knowing about this place, you tell me something. That's when the story of churning of the ocean starts in. He tells, Purvam Kritayuge Rama Dide Putra Mahabalaha Aditeshta Mahabhaga Viryavantas Sudharmikaha. So, in the Krita Yuga, that is in the Satya Yuga, another name for Satya Yuga is a Krita Yuga, that is a previous Yuga. Rama Avatara is in the Treta Yuga, right? So there Vishwamitra tells that the sons of Diti were very strong, that is the Danavas, the demons were Daityas, they were very strong. And those of Aditi, the gods, they were righteous. They were not they did not indulge in war and everything. They were doing their own work and they were very happy. And at that time, a thought came in saying that Tatasteshtam Tarastesham Narashteshta Buddhirasin Mahatmanam Amara Ajara Shaiva Katam Syama Niramayaha. So to both the Daityas and Danavas, a thought came in saying that how we can be free from old age, death, disease, and so on. So basically all the negativities of our life, how can we be free from that? Such a thought came to their mind. And at that time, then the story comes in. Now there is another reference to this. Now this is the reference in the Ramayana. That is wherein the gods and demons, they feel that what is that thing which can be consumed to be free from old age, disease, and so on. But in the Skanda Purana, a few of us we had seen yesterday in the session, that in the Skanda Purana you have a reference that Bali, he takes away, Mahabali from the Vamanavatara reference, he takes away, he robs the wealth, all the wealth from heavens, and he goes down to hell. And that's where the gods, but then all the wealth immediately what happens, it was Pralaya Kala, so all the wealth got submerged in the ocean. So Mahabali, he goes and asks the Daitya Guru, the Guru of the demons, Shukracharya, he goes and asks that, why all this wealth has got submerged? Just now I fought and bought it from Indra, right? So Indra enjoyed this wealth for so long. Now when it has come to me, it has gone away. So this is cheating. How come it happened? So Shukracharya there, he tells that a person who has done 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices, only he will be able to experience wealth that is there. So enjoy all the wealth. So you have not done that, the Devas have done that, they are enjoyed that. So therefore the wealth that you had, immediately it went away. Now all this wealth that was there, it got submerged in the ocean, and to bring back that wealth, they had to do the Samudra Mantana, and different gems, different jewels, wealth and everything came out of that. So this is the reason of the Samudra Mantana as mentioned in the Skanda Purana. But in the Ramayana, you have a main reference that mainly the Skanda Purana, mainly the churning of the ocean was done to get Amrita, which will be helpful in being free from old age, disease, and so on. So Here is where Vishnu tells Shiva that the first thing that comes out will be poison, so therefore you accept that. And Vishnu also, he assumes the form of a tortoise, Kurmavatara. Iti Shradva Rishikeshaha Kamatam Rupama Siddha Parvatam Prishtataf Kritva Shishye Tatro Dadau Harihi. So Kurmavatara, Hari also takes the form of a tortoise. Many things come out. Atavarsha Sahasrena Sadandas Sakamandalho Purvam Danvantarirnama Apsarasha Suvarchasaha. 1,000 years the Samudra Mantana took place. Many things came out. First is Dhanvantari, the god of medicine. He came outside. Uchchaishtavahaya Shreshtaha Maniratnam Chakausabam Udadishtan Narashreshta Tathaiva Mridamuttamam. Uchchaishtava was the horse came, Kausabam the gem came, and also nectar. So like this many gems came out. Next, you have the story of killing of Diti's son. How Indra did that, we have to have a look at. So with this, the Samudra Mantana episode takes place. Next is Ataputrasmi Bhagavam Stava Putrair Mahabalaihi Shakrahanta Ravichami Putram Dirgata Porjitam. So Diti is the mother of Daityas, demons we know, and Indra always, he was very much afraid if the Daityas came to attack him. So therefore he understood that Diti was pregnant, another demon was going to be born. So this time he felt that let me kill this demon inside the womb of Diti only. So therefore Diti got to know this, and Diti, she goes to her husband Kashyapa and says that Indra and all the other gods have done a lot of sacrifices. All my sons have been killed. So now I want a mighty son who will be able to kill Indra. So Kashyapa says that if you do tapasya for about thousands of years or so, you will give birth to a son who will rule over all the three worlds. So this is a blessing. This is a boon that Kashyapa gives Diti. Purne varsha sahasre tu shuchiriyadi bhavishyasi putram trailoke bhartaram mattastam janayishyasi. Now this is the last story before Rama and Vishwamitra, they go and meet Janaka. So all this on the way to Mithila, Vishwamitra is telling all these stories to Rama and Lakshmana. But now Vataskanda ime sapta charantu diviputraka maruta iti vikhyata divyarupa mamatmajaha. Now what happened is what? Now in this it is given in a very small way, just is given, I'll tell you in detail. So now Indra got the news. So now Indra was finding some other way to disturb the penance of Diti. So that's when what he does is, through his yogic powers, he goes inside the womb of Diti. He cuts the embryo that is there inside into 7 parts. And these 7 parts, in order to kill the child who was there. Otherwise, if the child becomes powerful Asura, he will be a cause of danger for the entire world and to the Devas ultimately. So these 7 parts that he makes of the fetus, they were the 7 Maruts. And Vataskanda, that is a division of winds that are there. For Vayu, there are about 7 Maruts which are there. We have the different winds that flow in southeast, northeast, such winds, southerly winds, northerly winds. In geography you would have studied. These are the 7 Maruts which are there. So that's how they will be wandering in the universe here and there. That's how the 7 Maruts were born in. Brahmalokam charatveka indralokam tatha paraha divivayurdikhyaataha triyopi mahayashaha. One will go in Brahmaloka, another will go in Indraloka, third one will be Vayu. So this is how Vayu was born, and he will move around in earth, in the sky. Chatvarastu surashreshta disho vaitavashasanat sancharishyantu bhadram te devabhuta mamatmajaha. And other 4, they will move about in the 4 directions. Diti says that's how: westerly, easterly, northerly, and southerly. We have the winds that blow about depending on the climate, depending on the weather. This is how you have the 5 winds that are there, 5 main layers, how the Maruts function. In geography, all of you would have studied this: exosphere, thermosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere, troposphere. If you remember, you can delve deep. So even the geographical concepts also have got a reference in the Ramayana. So Ramayana talks about history and also geography at the same time. So this is, depending on the different layers that are there, the different winds blow about. That has been mentioned here. Furtherly, you have the next Ahalya's Shapa Moksha. Further, they move about. Yes?
Actually, what is the 7 types of fish?
Huh.
Ramchandra Manas, Sundarkand, there is one Doha.
Hmm.
Hari Trilith Tedi Avsaram Kade Marup Vichar Panchahas Tari Ganga Kapi Badi Sage Akhan. The time when Hanumanji has burned the Lanka,
Hmm.
so there 49 types of power
Huh.
were going on. So 7 times told that is there, and other ones will never is that some it comes from one from Brahmalok, Indralok, Antariksha, Golok, Purvadisha, Paschim, Dakshim, Saman. So 7
Correct.
to 7, 49 types of
Correct.
power.
Those 7 winds, they were further broken into 49. Correct, correct. So that's how we have 49 Maruts. Correct. So if you see, there's a lot of reference even as he says in the Ramcharitamanas also. Further, Rama, Lakshmana and Vishwamitra, they move further, they see an ashrama, but that had become like as if uninhabited. That means for many years together it had not been visited by anyone. So that way it was nobody, you can say, almost in shatters. मिथिलोपवने शून्यम् आश्रमं दृश्य राघवः पुराणं निर्जनं रम्यं प्रपच्छ मुनिपुङ्गवम्. Again Rama had to question. He says, what is this? Who was staying here? And so on. श्रीमदाश्रमसङ्काशं किन्विदं मुनिवर्जितं ज्ञातुमिच्छामि भगवन् कस्यायं पूर्वमाश्रमः. So now Rama asks why this ashrama is looking so deserted, whom did it belong in the past, and so on. Vishwamitra says, Hantate katayishyami shrudu tatvena raghava yasyedam padam shaptam kopan mahatmana. So this was actually because of the curse of a great man. Gautamasya narashteshta purvamasin mahatmanah ashramo divya sankashaha surairapi supujitaha. This belonged to a sage called Gautama. Gautama curses Ahalya, his wife. Tatha shaptva savai shakram ahalyam api shaptavan iha varsha sahasrani bahudni tvam nivatsyasi vayubhaksha nirahara tapyanti bhasmashayini adrishya sarvabhutanam ashramesmin nivatsyasi. So basically at that time Indra, now Indra mainly, the thing is, the problem with him was he used to be afraid when another person would become mightier. It can be even the asuras, or it can be some rishi or sages. So whenever someone had some powers or so, Indra always felt that it was a danger for his throne. So therefore he used to come and cause some hurdles, like he did to the Maruts, or now even in Gautama. So what he did is, he assumed the form of Gautama. He came in the disguise of Gautama only in the ashram of Ahalya, when Gautama was not there in the ashrama. And Ahalya felt that it was her husband only, and she was very happy. She started spending time with Indra in the form of Gautama. Now the original Gautama comes in and he's surprised to see Indra here, and he gets very angry that Ahalya had spent time with another person and so on. Indra runs away from there. That's when he curses Ahalya and says that you will live here for about 1,000 years without food or so, and no living beings will actually come and see you. So that's how the ashrama had become very, very deserted.
Who cursed Ahalya?
Gautama, her own husband. यथा चैतद्वनं घोरं रामो दशरथात्मजः आगमिष्यति दुर्दर्शः तदा पूता भविष्यसि. But then later he gives that when the son of Dasharatha comes here, you will be cleansed of this sin. तस्यातिथ्येन दुर्वृत्ते लोभमोह विवर्जिता मत्सकाशे मुदा युक्ता स्वं वपुर्धारयिष्यसि. So he says that by assuming the form of by offering hospitality and by welcoming Rama in the right way, you will happily leave here. You will again get back your present form. So basically, she got the form of a statue, if you know, as per folklores that go about. So she was living in a very secluded state with nothing, no human beings around, no habitation, nothing. But when Rama will come and you offer your hospitality, everything to Rama, Rama will come and do the Shapa Moksha. At that time, you will get back your present form. अफलोऽस्मि कृतस्तेन क्रोधात् सा च निराकृता शापमोक्षेण महता तपोस्यापहृतं मया. So basically Indra also had got a curse saying that he had lost his shine that was there. So mainly he was a king, right? So the shine and everything that was there, he had lost all that. Gautama had cursed even Indra. So basically his strength, energy, everything Indra had lost. And Ahalya also was deserted. So therefore this was the curse that was given to both Indra and Ahalya, and both of them had to be free from this curse. When would it be possible? Only when Rama comes there. शापस्यान्तमुपागम्य तेषां दर्शनमागता राघवौ तु ततस्तस्या पादौ जग्रहतुस्तदा. So finally Rama touched her feet with his just his toes that were there, and finally Ahalya, she regained her form. Indra also got back his energy, he became strong again. Finally Rama sets out for Mithila. So after doing all these things, after giving Ahalya, making her freed from the curse, after Ahalya Shapa Moksha, Indra got back his energy, then रामोऽपि परमां पूजां गौतमस्य महामुनेः सकाशात् विधिवत् प्राप्य जगाम मिथिलां ततः. Even Gautama also comes there, he accepts Ahalya, and finally both of them, they set out. Rama, so after receiving all the hospitality and everything, Rama, Lakshmana and Vishwamitra, they proceed further, they set out to Mithila. Okay. So next what happens is, it starts with the Sita Swayamvara. Today time is almost up, so let us not start with that, otherwise we have to stop in between. So today what we saw is, Rama has, after killing all the demons, he knows a few stories of Ganga, Samudra Mantana episode. Then finally he meets Vishwamitra, tells him about his lineage, the lineage of Rama's ancestors, and finally Ahalya Shapa Moksha. With this, Rama is proceeding slowly towards Mithila. What happens further, we will see in the next session.